Taehyung's future in BTS threatened. HYBE makes a shocking decision, Jungkook outraged. Before we dive into the truth the fans were never supposed to hear, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss the stories HYBE doesn't want told. Now, let's go back to where the trouble began. It wasn't during a concert. It wasn't during a public interview. The seeds of this crisis were planted months ago, during what insiders now call the restructuring meetings. BTS was on a temporary slowdown while individual projects bloomed, acting, solo albums, collaborations. On the surface, it looked like freedom for the members. But behind the scenes, HYBE executives were conducting quiet evaluations of long-term market strategy for each artist. In business terms, that meant analyzing who would bring the highest returns in the years ahead. For most artists, this would sound like just another corporate review. But BTS is not most artists. And Taehyung, well, Taehyung is unlike anyone else. His voice, his artistry, his deep connection with fans, all of it is priceless. Yet, according to one source, certain executives began to label him as a wildcard asset. Translation? Unpredictable. Someone whose choices, whether it's taking acting roles, experimenting with jazz, or disappearing from the public eye to focus on art, might not always align with the company's aggressive global plans. This was not just about music. This was about control. Now here's where things turn unsettling. In late July, an internal HYBE document, never meant to leave the building, reportedly outlined adjustments to BTS's next phase once all members complete their military service. Among the notes, re-evaluation of member inclusion in high-investment projects. Taehyung's name appeared next to that line. No context. No explanation. Just his name. Word of this reached Jungkook through a mutual contact in the industry. And according to that contact, Jungkook's reaction was instantaneous and explosive. He didn't care if the information was preliminary or unofficial. To him, the idea that Taehyung's role in BTS could even be questioned was outrageous. After all, these two have shared stages, sweat, and countless sleepless nights together since they were teenagers. They've laughed through world tours and weathered scandals. They are family. But why would HYBE take such a risk? Why even hint at changing Taehyung's place in the group? The answer might lie in HYBE's current global ambitions. In the last year, the company has invested heavily in expanding its reach beyond K-pop, launching Western-based acts, acquiring labels in the US and Japan, and even experimenting with AI-generated performances. For such a massive strategy, they want artists who will participate in an intense promotional cycle, with minimal delays and maximum media engagement. And while Taehyung has an enormous fanbase, his artistic path has often taken him in unconventional directions, more focused on emotional depth than sheer commercial pace. It's a clash of philosophies, corporate speed versus artistic soul. One insider described a heated moment between a BTS liaison and a HYBE executive. The liaison argued, "You don't replace a Picasso because he paints slowly." But to a company watching quarterly earnings, slow sometimes means expendable. Meanwhile, ARMY, unknowingly, began picking up on subtle signs. Taehyung appeared more withdrawn in recent live streams. His captions grew shorter, sometimes cryptic. Jungkook, too, began making comments that, in hindsight, feel loaded, moments where he praised loyalty, or reminded fans that BTS is 7, always. At the time, it sounded like reassurance. Now, it feels like resistance. And then, last week, something happened that turned the whispers into a storm. During a private rehearsal session in Seoul, one meant to prepare for a possible group event later this year, Taehyung reportedly left early after a tense conversation with two senior staff members. He wasn't angry, but he wasn't smiling either. Jungkook, according to people in the room, stayed behind to finish the session but was visibly tense, pacing between takes, barely speaking to anyone. Later that night, Jungkook posted a late-night message to Weverse. It wasn't long or detailed, but it was enough to make fans' hearts race. Sometimes you have to fight for the ones who've always been there for you. Even when it's hard. No names. No direct context. But the timing spoke volumes. The next day, HYBE released a vague statement about upcoming creative collaborations and shaping the next era of BTS. It said nothing about changes, nothing about roles, but by now, fans were already connecting the dots. Some began trending hashtags in support of Taehyung. Others dug up old interviews where he expressed wanting to try different things without feeling boxed in. The narrative was shifting fast. But here's the real twist. According to someone familiar with the situation, the shocking decision in question has already been drafted, and it's not about removing Taehyung from BTS outright. It's about limiting his participation in certain high-profile projects and replacing him in a few upcoming global campaigns with younger, high-engagement artists from HYBE's newer lineups. On paper, it's strategic diversification. In reality, it feels like erasing a part of BTS's heart. Jungkook reportedly told a friend, if they do this to him, they do it to all of us. That's not just loyalty, that's a warning. And yet, Taehyung himself has said almost nothing. No public statement. No angry posts. Just quiet movements, as if he's weighing his next steps carefully. Some think he's staying silent to avoid escalating the tension. Others believe he's planning something bigger, a message, a performance, maybe even a song that will answer every question without a single press release. One thing is certain, the next move could decide not just Taehyung's path, but the unity of BTS itself. And that is where the story gets even darker. Because hidden inside those same HYBE meeting notes is another line, one that Jungkook reportedly found even more infuriating than the mention of Taehyung's name. That line in the HYBE notes was short, almost an afterthought, but it carried the weight of 1,000 unspoken consequences. Contingency planning, alternative promotional arrangements in case of non-compliance. Non-compliance. The term sent chills down Jungkook's spine. Because in the world of corporate contracts, non-compliance can mean almost anything, refusing a schedule, pushing back on a concept, or even expressing creative disagreements too strongly. So the question is, when the lights go up and the seven stand on stage again, will it be the BTS we've always known, united, unshakable, or will we be looking at a version rewritten by corporate hands? For Taehyung, for Jungkook, and for the millions who believe in what BTS stands for, the answer could define not just the future of a band, but the legacy of an entire generation of music. And that is a decision that no meeting room in Seoul should be allowed to make.